Lads and ladies, welcome to a new video. And today we're going to do something different today. Today we're going to do Vanarama National League predictions. Now, it's something obviously completely different, never done this before on the channel. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of knowledge I've got with this league. Obviously, what I thought was initially this league was going to be 3 teams promoted and then the 4 teams relegated. But it turns out I was wrong. It did say on Sky Sports 2 that it was going to happen, but it's not happening. It's going to be the 1 team promoted and the 16 in the playoffs. That makes it even harder. So I have done these predictions. I've spent 2 hours doing this. So let's just see how it goes. If you like it, then yeah. Obviously, we're not going to predict the season. We'll just predict the league table, and then we'll obviously we'll react to it after. So we're not going to predict any game weeks. We'll focus on the EFL for that. But yeah, let's see how this goes, and I will share my predictions to you. So first of all, bottom of the table, we have got Truro City. Now, Truro won the National League South last season, but the reason I've gone for them bottom is because they haven't brought anybody in. You haven't brought anybody in, so it doesn't help if you don't bring any players in, because if you don't bring any players in, then you're just not really going to go very far. And you've lost out on your best player. Jace Cabiot, he went to Grimsby. He scored 16 goals in 12 matches in the National League South last season. He's a big player you're going to miss out on. So that's why you're going to finish 24th. You've not signed anybody. You've lost out on your best player, so that's why you're going down, 24th. 23rd place, another newly promoted side, Brackley Town. These won the National League North. I've no idea how they did. These were a playoff side usually in the National League North. Reason, they haven't signed anybody, they haven't sold anybody, but again, you've got to sign players. If you want to stay in this league, you have to sign players, and have Brackley done that? No, they haven't. So that's why they're going to go down. 22nd then, this might be a bit of a surprising one to people, but I've gone for newly promoted Boreham Wood. Now, these finished winning the playoffs. Let's go over the transfers first of all. They have been in this league before, for a few times actually. So first of all, they signed Junior Dixon from Birmingham under-21s. He was a midfielder who scored 7 goals, which is not too bad. Then they brought in Joe Newton from Solihull. I'll talk about him in a little while once I have to talk about Solihull in a little bit more detail later. Aaron Henry from Charlton. He played 14 games for them, but he only scored 1 goal, and that was for Rochdale when he went on loan. They brought also in Jeff King on loan from York. Not a bad signing. It's not a bad signing at all. Players left. Jaden Richardson to St Mirren as a defender. He's a defender. He only scored 2 goals in 2 games. Well, I've seen there are some defenders in this league I will talk about who have scored more goals than that. So prepare for that. But Boreham Wood overall, not too bad signings, but I think the signings could have been a bit better, and you've missed out on a good centre-back to St Mirren, so that doesn't really help your cause, does it really? 21st place, just missing out on survival, Boston United. Last season they finished 19th. Let's talk about the transfers first of all. They brought in Michael Kelly from Scunthorpe. He scored 2 goals and 2 assists, and he's a defender, by the way. No, not 2 assists, sorry. 2 goals and 2 appearances, sorry. Rise Lovett from Torquay. I can't really say much about him because I've tried to trying to find some data of goals and assists and what position he is, but I couldn't find anything. Same with Finley Ging. I believe he's from Malta. Again, weren't enough data for him. Players gone. This is going to really hurt Boston. Gyro to Wraith Rovers, I think they're called, in Scotland. He was a defender. He played every single match for Boston. And hear this, like I said, he's a defender. He scored 7 goals for them. 7 goals as a defender. That is unbelievable for a defender. So, I mean, fair play to J-Rowe. He played well, but he's gone off to Wraith, and Boston have lost him, and that's why they're going to go down. So just surviving, I've got newly promoted Scunthorpe. Obviously, they've been through some really bad financial difficulties over the last few years now. but they managed to finally get themselves out of it, and they're back in non-league. Well, they were already in non-league, but you know what I mean. The last season they promoted via the playoffs. They obviously missed out on automatics. They were really unlucky to them. So in terms of transfers, they've only brought one player in called Oliver Ewing from Leicester. He scored 3 goals at Buxton. And I believe he is a winger, I want to say. He might be a winger or a midfielder. They've sold Michael Kelly to Boston. I've already said about that. And Mason Campbell, he's now a free agent. Couldn't really find much information about him. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where he plays. But yeah, Scunthorpe hadn't done too bad. So I hope they stay up. Because like I said, they've been through really bad financial difficulties in the last few years. So I'd like to see him go on the up, Scunthorpe. Again, this might be another surprising one to you, but 19th I've gone for Solihull Moors. Now, last season these finished 14th in the table, so not too bad for Solihull. But I thought these would be more of a playoff side, but they've not really been showing it. In terms of transfers, they've signed 2 players that I've not even found enough data for. Charlie Watson, Joe Neeson, never heard of any of them. They've lost Taywan Campbell to Yeovil, John Newton to Boreham Wood. He played 40 games for him. And a player called Cade Craig to TNS, a sign in Wales if you were interested. Again, not enough data for him. So, yeah, Solihull Moors, I think you're going to really struggle this year. I don't think you'll, have the squad to do any better than 14th. I think, like I said, I think you'll really struggle, but you're not got the squad to go down, but you've not got the squad to go for playoffs, unfortunately. 18th place, we've got Yeovil. Last season, they finished 18th. And reasons just because I think they're a decent side. But in terms of transfers, they brought in Tavan Campbell from Solihull Moors. He scored 2 goals. And players out, Harry Kite, a free transfer, but he were a bit of a waste of space, scored no goals for them. So Yeovil should be happy, really, because they've kept most of the squad. They've only sold 1 player, which were a waste of space. Yes, they've hardly signed any players, but they've got the squad to stay up, so they can't be complaining, Yeovil fans, they really can't. Next team, 17th, is Braintree. They've not brought any players in. They've not sold anybody. Just slap bang in the middle for them. They'll stay up. Obviously, they were newly promoted last season. They did well to stay up, so well done to Braintree. They'll stay up again. 16th, I've got Aldershot. They finished 16th last season. They've brought in 1 player, Jed Beerhels, on loan from Bristol City, but I couldn't find any data for him. And players out, they haven't sold anybody, which is good for them. But I feel like, again, Aldershot are another one of them sides that should really be pushing for the top 10. But I don't think they've got the squad for that. So, good luck to Aldershot. I think they'll do okay. They'll definitely stay up. Yeah. Fair play to them. 15th place, we've got Woking. These finished 15th last season. And in terms of transfers, they brought in a player called Luke Hall from Worksop. He scored 10 goals for them last season. Sonny Parks from Bournemouth under 18s. He's a defender, but I didn't get enough data for him. In terms of players out, Jacob Jones, a defender. I'm not sure where he played. I think he's a free transfer now. But he did play 11 games for Woking. He'll be a bit of a miss for him. So, yeah, oh well. This might be a bit of a surprising one to most people, but for 14th, I've gone for Wealdstone. Now, these finished 20th last season, almost relegated, but I think they'll get a big bounce. In terms of transfers, they've signed a player called Zakaria Hassan from #United. He's a midfielder who scored 10 goals for them. Omar Musa from Torquay. He's also a midfielder and he scored 2 goals for Torquay. And they've not sold any players. So that's why I think they might have a bit of a boost this season. Yes, it does sound a bit of a surprise, the fact that this team finished 20th and now I've predicted them to finish 14th. So you're probably thinking, where's the logic in that? But this is just for a bit of fun, really. You never know where teams are going to finish this season. 13th, I've got Tamworth. Last season, these finished 10th. They've not brought any players in and they've not sold anybody. They've got the squad to have a decent mid-table finish. And fair play to Tamworth because last season, the season before they won the league, when they got promoted to the National League North. So fair play to Tamworth. They've done really well. And obviously last season, the FA Cup were against Tottenham, and they managed to grind out a draw in that game, which went to extra time, and obviously sadly they lost. So fair play to Tamworth, you'll do well. Good luck. 12th place, I've got Hartlepool. Last season, these finished 11th. And transfers, in terms of transfers, Brad Walker, who's a midfielder from Tranmere, who only scored, only got 1 assist. In terms of players out, David Ferguson to Gateshead, who only scored 3 goals anyway. Unsure where he plays, but I think he's a centre-back. I think I might have mentioned his name already. I believe he is a centre-back. So, yeah, not too much of a bad window from Hartlepool, but I think they will struggle. I think they will do a little bit worse than they did last season, but we'll see how it goes for Hartlepool. In 11th place, we have Eastleigh. Now, these made a lot of signings. Last season, these finished 13th, so 2 places better, in my opinion, they will do. So, in terms of signings, they brought a player called Kieran Evans from Cardiff, who's a midfielder, scored 2 goals and 2 assists at Newport. Archie Harris from Bournemouth under-21s, who's a defender, who's only played 1 game, but I'm sure he'll get more game time here. Ethan Jones from Barlet Town, who's a Welsh town, who's a forward, but I didn't find enough data for him. And then Kobe Killick on a free transfer, and the players out, they've not sold anybody. That's why I think they'll do well easily, because they've not sold anybody. And if you don't sell anybody, then, well, unless they're awful, but other than that, Eastleigh, you've had a good window, so fair play to you. You'll do well this season. 10th place, I've got Sutton. Last season, these finished 12th. An interesting transfer activity, actually. In terms of who they brought in Kane Critchlow from Chelmsford. I know about this lad because I've used him quite a lot on Football Manager. He scored 13 goals in 9 appearances, which is not bad for a non-league striker. Jayden White from Hereford, another non-league North club, scored 9 goals in 8 games. Liam Vincent from Tonbridge, in National League South, midfielder, scored 9 goals in 8 games. And in terms of players out, Sam Roberts is a free agent. I don't think he was really worth that much anyway to the club. So Sutton have done well, and they've brought players in that will score goals and get assists. So well done to Sutton. You've done well at the moment in terms of players you've brought in, so you should do well this season. In terms of 9th place, we've got Altrincham. They've only brought 1 player in, and that was Luke Hutchinson on loan from Bolton. He's a goalkeeper. Though I think he's a bit of an overrated keeper. I believe he were at Crewe last season, and he didn't really do that well. They've not got rid of anybody, but they're a good team, Altrincham. They'll do well this season. Last season, like I said, they did finish 9th, so yeah, they should do well. Again, another surprising one here. I've got Halifax in 8th. Last season, these finished 6th. But in terms of transfers, AJ Warburton, but not enough data for him. Dylan Crowe from Kings Lynn, who's a defender. Again, not enough data for him. I'm annoyed with this because if I'd have found data from these players, I would have told you them. Cody Johnson from Stockport, only played 1 game. And David Cower, who's a free agent who scored 11 goals at Aveley, who are a National League South side, I believe. In terms of players out, Jack Evans to Harrogate, a defender, played 36 games for him. That's a big miss for them, Halifax. That's why I think they'll struggle. They've lost their best defender, which is annoying if you're a good club. So I feel sorry for Halifax, but I hope you do well this season. So into the playoff places now. 7th place, I've got Southend. Last season, these did finish 7th. In terms of transfers, Nathan Harness, goalkeeper on loan from MK Dons. I didn't really find that much information about him. Sam Austin is a midfielder from Notts County, scored 1 goal and 2 assists. They haven't got rid of anybody, which is good for them. Considering, I think did they get a points deduction last season? I believe they got, were it like a 6 or 9 point deduction maybe, and they still got playoffs. So, I mean, fair play to Southend. They're on the rise again, and, hopefully they'll get promoted this season, but who knows. So 6th place, I've got Morecambe. Now, this might be a surprising one to people because Morecambe, they've been through some very, very bad financial problems and they could be out of existence in the next few weeks or couple of months. I've no idea. And I feel so bad for Morecambe fans. Imagine not having a club to support. That would be absolutely gutting. I mean, Wednesday, they nearly went through that as well. But thankfully, we're going to get a new owner soon, so that'll be brilliant. Well, the embargo won't be, but hopefully getting a new owner who's actually got a knowledge of football would be very nice. But Morecambe don't have that. But like I said, they got relegated last season very badly. They brought no one in. In terms of, they got rid of Ross Millen to Inverness, who's a Scottish team defender. Adam Lewis to Chesterfield. He's also a defender, I believe, and he scored 1 goal and 6 assists. Now, that's brilliant for a defender. Chesterfield will love that. He's a very good player, so I'm sure he'll do well for Chesterfield, but Morecambe, God, I feel bad for you. I hope you do well this season. Another team might surprise you here. 5th place, I've gone for York. Now, York finished 2nd last season, so you're probably thinking, why have you put York 5th when they finished 2nd last season? Because they have not signed anybody. As I've said before, if you don't sign anybody, where are you going to go? You're not going to do anything. So, as much as they've got a good squad, and I do hope they get promoted, again, like I said with Southend. Sorry. But in terms of who they've let go, Jeff King, he weren't really much to Boreham Wood on loan. He played 10 games, he got no goals, no assists. So, I hope Jeff King does well at Boreham Wood, but York, I hope we do well. In 4th, I've gone for Rochdale. Last season, these did finish 4th. In terms of transfers, they've brought in Joe Pritchard from Oldham. If you're an Accrington fan, you'll remember him. He scored 4 goals. They've not sold anybody, which is good for them. So I think Rochdale will have a very positive season. And, well, can they get promoted and play against Oldham again and get revenge on them? Who knows? We'll see what happens. In 3rd place, I've gone for Carlisle. Now, last season, these were relegated. Surprisingly, I didn't think they'd get back-to-back relegations. They've not brought anybody in. They've let go of Taylor Charters, who's a midfielder who scored no goals and no assists, so he was a waste of space, really, like I said. But Carlisle have got the squad to make the top 7. They're not going to win the league. You'll find out in a minute, though. But they've not really got the squad to, win the league. So, who knows how they'll do this season. I do hope Carlisle do better than what they did in League 2. 2nd place, I've gone for Forest Green. Last season, these finished 3rd, so they'll definitely have an improvement. In terms of transfers, they brought in Luke McNicholas from Wrexham, who's a goalkeeper, but I didn't find enough data for him. Players out, Tyrese Omotoy went to a club called Hilava from the Czech Republic. He was a striker, but he didn't score a goal or an assist. So, again, Forest Green, they've got a good team. A very good team for this league. So I'm sure they will do brilliant this season. And again, another team that could get promoted. This league is very hard. And I found this very hard to predict, by the way. Considering I did spend 2 hours doing this. So, yeah. Hopefully, you'll have to thank me for this. So to win the league, you'll be all surprised by this. I've gone for Gateshead. These finished 8th last season, but in terms of transfers, they have improved the defence. David Ferguson from Hartlepool, who I've already talked about, and Callum Johnson from Bradford, who played 11 games for them. That is a big improvement. You bring in some very good defenders, so you've got chances now. You'll hardly concede any goals. It'll help you now to potentially going into the top 7, which I think they will honestly do. And like I said, I just said they might win the league, which I think they will do. So I'm interested to see how they will do. In terms of players gone, Tom Allen on a free transfer. I couldn't really find much information about him anyway. So, yeah, fair play to Gateshead. I hope you do well. I hope you get promoted. Be nice to see you in the leagues, in the EFL. So, yeah, well done to Gateshead. You win the league this season. And that, lads and ladies, is the end of this video. I was originally going to do this last week, but because of the aftermath of prom and the Sheffield FC Hallam game, I was tired, very tired. I had a croaky voice, so I couldn't really film. So hence that's why I decided to do it for this week rather than last week. So, yeah. Tomorrow we will do League 2 predictions, so get your notifications on and, yeah, hopefully watch that video as well as this one. So I hope you lads and ladies just enjoy this video. Like I said, very different. Wouldn't usually do non-league predictions on this channel, but I've decided to do something different because doing different things is nice to do. It's not really, it's quite boring to do the same things all the time. So to change it up a bit is a good thing to do, I suppose. So like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.